All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do it because I ain't going to sleep yet, and I'm about done with these. I'm just gonna go ahead and do it, and it's not something I'm proud of, but just in case they do something to me, uh, it's about the only one left that's really important, and I'm not proud of it. But I've been lied about, distorted. There's been so much baloney over the years. I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it. Uh, uh, where would you start? You know, where would you start? Uh, hmm, where do you start? Um, I don't know. Uh, do I want to do it? I do want to do it. I don't know if I don't know if I got the energy right at the moment. Maybe I should lay down before I really get into it. Uh, hmm. So you say, well, I need some coffee. Oh man. Oh, this could be a super long one though. But I guess it's pretty important given how the perception of people in the area I'm in. Maybe it has something directly to do. Uh, well, basically, yeah. So I have one daughter that I know of. Remember, legally, except not legally. Uh, so I met a girl. Remember, my cousins who basically are my only family. I have no brothers, no blood brothers or sisters that I grew up with at all. So pretty much my aunt Lori and Bloody Mary never had any children. Um, Alice had Bobby and Matt. I was really close to Matt, not Bobby at all. He was always a mouthy guy. Always, we never really got along ever. Matthew was the older one who later committed suicide. Apparently, I don't have the full story. Again, all I heard was the Lakeville police started harassing him and his brother. And that's where Mr. Anthony Ho comes in. Originally, he was Alice's attorney. And they were into some drugs, like a lot of people, and apparently they raided the Bobby and Matt down there, and somehow accused Alice, my aunt, of being involved, and she had to go to trial. And so Mr. Anthony Edward Ho was the trial lawyer. That's how they met. And my mother was helping uh, fund, pay for that. And so obviously, for whatever reasons, like I remember I told you, he was friendly with my mom that way. Getting, she was helping pay. Uh, Alice worked at. She had some jobs, but the last 15 years or whatever, she worked at the Veterans Affairs, which is even more. And then she lived at an apartment right across from Normandy. Look, I don't even know. I was talking to Amarillo Slim about that. Uh, and so he got her out of it. The Lakeville police were accusing my aunt of apparently of being involved somehow with drugs. I have no idea. That's all I know. That's all I heard. And then later, Matt, eventually they kept, all I ever heard was they kept harassing him. And then some girl, and finally he just, I don't know if the police, he went out to the cornfield at his dad's house and blew his brains out. That's all I heard. I had a cousin, Mario, who was my first cousin, right? Becky's first, from Mark, the Air Force colonel or whatever. And he like, this was way back. Uh, they was really smart, and he built up like he wanted to make sure, but based, talk about geometry and all that. My dad said he made up like this gallows and was based on his weight in his room. He had it all elaborate. There was no, he wanted to make sure he killed himself, and he hung himself. I guess that's all I ever heard. That was hard to believe. So I lost that cousin. I lost my other first cousin. And then later, I guess we lose. So Melissa, the one that calls the cops on me, and I don't trust her. Yeah, we had lots of different interactions over the years because of Jay's restaurant, right? Uh, so basically, I lived my life with Melissa and Christina. We were at the farm with Bobby and Matt, Alice's kids, and Avis. Remember, I was the first grandchild, so I was around all my mom's sisters, and we spent a lot of time together. Pissing the bed with my cousins, and so I was very, very close, or at least spent a lot of time with Melissa, Christina, Matthew, and Bobby. A lot. Like every weekend for years and years and years, right? At that farm, everywhere. It was always, and Mary never had any kids, and Avis never had any kids, right? And Avis is the one in Europe. And so finally, I think how old so I was in my 20s, and we had the restaurant, and I was still doing the thing. Oh well, remember from like 13, I don't know when Moore Lake opened, but I was pretty much working at the restaurant on the weekends, cooking those 5,000 pizzas, right? Um, every Friday and Saturday, and then a little bit during the week, and then I would be down at working out, playing basketball, having fun, drinking a little beer, smoking a little weed, and eventually I met, well, My cousin Melissa was friends with Michelle Ray Stroman, who her the dad is Dusty, his nickname, and he's a big dude, and he was a truck driver, and he comes and the interesting thing is his parents actually live right behind Mercy, just down the block from Gordy, and they're gone. The dad finally, the mom and they a few years back. I went over there one time, and I remember all I remember is the dad, the grandpa. I'll never forget. He was really nice to me. Dusty always hated me. The mother was always pretty ornery and mean, but I always found that interesting that Bruce's dad was not really nice to me, almost too nice. But he would hold up a sign like this. He joked with me a couple times. I might have been over there twice or three times. He'd hold up a sign and it would say, yeah, it was this. Here, I'll just type. I'll just put what he had on there. What is it? Okay. Can you read it? He would go like this. He wouldn't say anything. He'd just hold this up once in a while. I'll read what it says. It says lack of sex causes blindness. And he would joke and he would show it to his wife and then show us. That's all I remember. So basically, I met her through Melissa at the restaurant. They were friends, and I guess hey, we became whatever. Uh, Pretty cute, um, girl, yeah, and we met, kind of, and you might, I don't know, I think she's kind of had a rough go, and when I say, hey, if it ain't you, it'll be somebody else. If it wasn't Pete, if it wasn't me running around, it would have been somebody else. Did we do it? Did we do it right? I don't know. I come from a Christian background, and that's where Greg Troy comes in, right? So, um, I don't know. The bottom line is you know, uh, you say you didn't mention her, but well, she was pretty mean, and she got real mean. Was I enamored and in love with her yeah, for sure, for a long time, and I don't think it wasn't, she just didn't. I don't know. At first, she was, but at first she would probably do, but over time, her mother's influence. Her mother worked at Onan's, the generator place, and that's right down from my mother's restaurant there. And under most circumstances, would we have ever met or outside of my cousin? No, we would have never met. I'm sure because I was always playing basketball, and the people I knew, I only would have met her through my cousin. But yeah, I thought she was very, very pretty, obviously. Um, and we had a kid, and her name is Madalyn, and So, and this, I don't know, it could get emotional. And this, if this is the last video I make, I'm pretty satisfied. So, um, you know, I need some coffee. So why is it significant? Because for years and years, well, initially, basically Kathleen Stroman, they hated me and they blamed me for all our problems, and then, you know, she was trust me, she was already smoking cigarettes when I met her, and she was smoking marijuana. She was partying, drinking alcohol. As far as any hard drugs, I don't know. Now, I don't think so. But look, she was already having a relationship with what's his name? What was that guy's name that Kathleen was living with? She was well underage, and he was way overage. What was his name? He had a job. He worked. Pilgrim, Jason Pilgrim or something. Okay, right down the street from that other gal that worked out at, what was her name? Uh, so this idea that I created Michelle's problems, Michelle Ray Stroman, is ridiculous. She was already in a relationship. I don't know if it of some sort. They were friendly and they were hanging out, and that was her boyfriend, and the mom was going out. Okay, uh, bottom line. And then there was Jackie. What was her name? Jacqueline. She worked at that. We would hang out once in a while, and she actually was a pretty decent person. I really liked that girl, and she always worked. And then she bought that house out in where is it? Somewhere out by Emmer's office. What Otsego? Yeah, we went out there a couple times, and she bought a house really early. Jacqueline or Jackie or something. I always liked her. In fact, one time, me and Michelle and Jackie, which Jacqueline, we went to that place in hell. Let me. Now, most of Michelle's friends were kind of shady. Remember the well, we're all kind of tied together. Remember Scabies, Amber? She was always overweight and heavy. And her two sisters, the next sister down. Then the youngest went out with that Flowers, not the guy that works at Anoka County, right over there, that satellite where he became a drug dealer to keep Amber at home, you know. Um, that's the story Melissa told me. Okay. There was the Flowers brothers. I can't. What was it? I can't remember his name, but he was going out with the youngest of Amber's sisters. I think. Yeah. Remember, because the middle sister, I knew he was bad news, and he was in sleeping at my house. That was the one guy that was working at the dry cleaner that my mom called. He slept the night, and I had to go to work, and he was gonna sleep and get up, and he had all my stuff, my jacket, and who knows what he ended up stealing. I can't. Baseball, a couple baseball cards, some stuff he stole from me, and so the youngest, this Flowers. So these guys were, back then, like I said, there was very few black people around that area, and they were one. And the oldest was pretty, he had that job up there, and he was pretty responsible. The other guys were kind of shady, and yeah, I didn't, yeah, I didn't want to be around them much. And a lot of they were around those people, and I didn't like most of her friends, but that Jacqueline, we went out. Was it Melissa? And our whole family. We had this. What was that horse place out in Wisconsin? My grandparents had went there for decades. I can't remember what it's called, but if I could find out. And I hadn't been there for many years, and so I talked them into going uh, there. We went there. Uh, we did stuff like that. What else did we do? Anything with Jackie? But she was like the most normal, and she was a little bit like a year older or something, or she was a little older, but she was friends with Michelle, and not so much the other ones. She was like a unique, because she was right down the houses from this Pilgrim guy who's going out with Michelle. So I guess in essence, she kind of left him for me. Um. Uh. You say, so what? Well, it corroborates my story that everything I'm telling you is true. And I didn't ruin her life, and they ruined mine. And now they still, I think, want to ruin even further. And uh, it all, it's like, that's why I moved up here. It wasn't just to be close to mom, it was because we were supposed to I had every other weekend with Madalyn, but it was supervised, which doesn't make any sense, which I'll get into. But so basically, I never would have met her anywhere because I never would have been around any of those people except for my cousin, and I met her, and it just whatever. And I loved her. She was a really nice girl. I mean, yeah, she's your average girl that she was probably already struggling a little bit in school. I don't think she really liked school. Her parents were divorced, and if anybody ever gives me heck, I remember the story. I guess Kathleen and Dusty. He's a big dude, truck driver, and was originally up in Forest Lake, I guess. He drove the garbage truck up here for many years. Okay. But they used to live at Georgetown Apartments. And apparently they were doing a little of this one day when they were younger, when they were first married. And somehow the brother, Michelle had an older brother, Daniel or something maybe, and they were. This was, I think, maybe this is before Michelle was even born. Maybe I don't know. The Georgetown Apartments on East River Road in 694, and they were outside. And this is what I've heard. And for some reason, the boy got to the river and drowned. And Kathleen always blamed Dusty, I guess, or part of it. And so she's already starting to go crazy because she's lost her kid. So she was way nuts and angry before she ever got even anywhere near me. And then in addition to that, so what happens is Sunny, who's from Forest Lake, her parents went to, in fact, I saw Sunny up not too long before I saw George, actually, the painter, Marcus's, and then I saw Sunny. I didn't say anything. She came in the library just before I had, had that issue. So she was up here for something. And I actually stayed in her house. She had a house up in Bram. She was coming down like when she was working at a Holiday. She worked at that what do you call it? That video vault they used to have in Chisago City. Might even still be there. Except maybe they don't. Do they still sell DVDs? Anyways, you just I'm telling the truth. And so and so, which is actually where one of my very first girlfriends, Elizabeth. Yeah, remember Elizabeth too. Her dad was a teacher at Chisago High School. She was a what do you call it? She was a waitress, and I had met her at Pioneer House actually, where Tom worked later. Her mother, they were older. They lived right on the lake there, right behind the video vault. I don't know whatever happened to her. She was my first introduction to alternative girls. I mean, this is way back in the day, and nobody dyed their hair. And like she would dye part of her hair pink, and then like the bottom of her hair, she might even shave the back, but you couldn't tell unless she put it up. She'd have it down, but she was kind of an alternative sort of type. But I really liked her. She was really nice. And you want to talk about Lois? Yeah, her mom. And one of the coolest things about going over there is Elizabeth. She played the piano with her mom, and a couple times we went to church, and they were really really nice to me. And I was just kind of a wild kid, and I don't ever know what happened to her. Um, so Sonny, so yeah, this Kathleen Stroman, who works at Onan's Generators and lives in Fireside Apartments, right down the street from the restaurant my family owned for 25 years, or what, 20 years, 25, whatever, or 20 something. So I meet Michelle, right, and through Melissa, and we were running around, and so they get mad right away because she's running around with me for a few days or a week or something, doesn't go home. And so they flip out, and so they start blaming me right away. Like I say, if it wouldn't been me, it would have been somebody else. Would have been maybe that Flowers kid. Who knows? Because she liked him. All right. And there was plenty of problems going on way before me, and I think, uh, and she really liked me at first. I think. Uh, yeah. So what happens next? So you say, This. Oh, so what really pisses Kathleen off, just like all women. So apparently, not too long after their son drowns in the Mississippi River, there, that'd probably make you crazy. Um, you know, and I seen pictures of Kathleen and back, and you can tell she must have got stressed out at some point because she was really, really pretty. Don't tell her that because she's meaner than a junkyard dog, and she's ruined my life. Okay, but she was, you wouldn't be able to tell that now when I seen her, because I guess when your son dies, eh, and Dusty's a big dude, right? And so a truck driver, and his parents are from Anoka, and Dusty's he's the first one, and so he's more the roughneck kind of drinker guy, right? But he's got a couple brothers that are really successful, actually. I think one's like an accountant, and another one's some computer guy. And then he's got a younger brother that actually was really nice to me, and he was really which I was surprised. Which he actually, the girl that he used to go with, I don't know, and they used to wear like those matching orange. Who was it? Stewart, maybe? They were in a NASCAR. That girl was one of the girls that back in Oaks of Shenandoah, actually, that was friends with a couple of the girls that were really, really popular, or really good rich girls over in Oaks of Shenandoah. And they went out for a long time. I don't know if they ever got married or whatever, but the point is so I guess so this Sonny is living in somewhere, maybe in the Pines. I don't know, somewhere over in Centennial, I guess, because they used to go to that Firehouse Bar and Grill, which there's a guy named Wendell that was a roofer that used to go in there all the time. I worked for him for I told you that roofing store where those guys came, and I said, yeah, that's not for me. And there was a townhouse with Dusty and Michelle and Kathleen. It's kind of the same old story. Next door neighbor is Sonny, younger. Dusty gets with Sonny, and of course, it's guess what? I'm done forever, and you're never touching me again, Kathleen, right? So she's crazy now. By now, she's lost her son, and now her husband's cheating, and she's crazy woman. Okay, long before she ever got even anywhere near, I pissed her off. Okay. Um. So then, I guess she moves into Fireside, and she goes to work, and so her mom lives in that high rise, right? Lives to be like 100, I swear. Not too far down the road from that synagogue of Satan, actually. Right on 73rd, where the old country buffet and the library and that old uh, thing, or that old the like the retirement. And I went over there so many times with Michelle to check on her grandma. We'd go over there. She'd borrow her car or whatever, say hi. And I was actually surprised at how angry and mean Kathleen's mother was to me. The grandma was you could tell she didn't like me, but she wasn't horribly mean. And so I guess she goes to work in Onan's. She probably still works there and probably runs the place almost. Which is even more interesting. The guy, one of the bosses there, who lives out in what's his name, Ramsey somewhere, actually went to school with my mom and Alice or something, and they were funny how everybody's somehow tied together. Remember? Nobody does. Everybody's doing. They're trying to frame you, or they're everybody's doing something for a reason. And I think my parents, my mom being the first, they always sheltered me. And I had to learn, maybe that's why I was so naive and innocent. And did I say that Lois, my grandma, was similar to Elizabeth's mother? She was one of them real nice. And she was a little older. I was always, that's the one I was talking about. I always said they were a little bit older. They seemed a little older than most of the girls' parents that I was around. So I don't even know if they'd be alive. Or one of them might be. Or they could be. They'd be pretty old. They'd be up there, I would think. But anyway, it's neither here. So, Kathy moves into that Fireside Apartments, not too far from Onan's, where she's probably worked for 35 years or something now. And then that's when I meet, I don't remember when it was, but I was working at the restaurant and they were probably, Melissa brought some marijuana or something and I met her. And we started hanging out. We hung out for a few days or a week or something. She didn't go home. And I guess Kathy just got so angry. But like I said, she was already struggling and she had already had this older boyfriend, way older. So it what I didn't create. She was angry as a junkyard dog before I did anything. And if it wouldn't have been me, Michelle was already running around with some, I don't know what you'd call it. They were not very. They were not your. There weren't any. They were a lot worse kids than I was around. Usually, and they weren't very into school. A lot of them. Some of them probably were struggling in school. Probably some of them dropped out and quit. Maybe a lot. I don't know. They really weren't my type of people, to be honest. But I thought she was cute, and I was drinking a lot and smoking, and we just started hanging out, and I liked her, and she liked me, and kind of, and I liked her a lot. I loved her, and so, but she got mean as hell, and so I don't feel that went away, no problem. That was gone at the end there. Not like she wasn't nice like like I tell you, Alexis or Carrie and them. And I guess life just happens. You don't expect and if you if you saw her today, I'm not saying you'd be like, wow. I mean, you aged quite a bit, and you look a lot older than you are, and that I'm guessing is drugs. Um, and then they'll blame you. Her parents think I got her on drugs, and I'm just like, whatever. She was doing them way plenty before she ever. All I was doing really with her is smoking a little weed. And then I think I'm their scapegoat. Right. So, um, yeah. Did I do it right again? No. But by her not coming home, is that like something that never would have? Whatever. I mean, it wasn't like it was. I was just trying to use her and never. I mean, I really liked her. We were hanging out. It wasn't like I was abusing. I mean, we were together, like gonna stay together, right? We were gonna be girlfriend and boy. We had Madalyn, which is where it gets, and that's why I want Madalyn to know that if anything, if I never got to, if I decided to not make another video because now, this is probably the worst feeling of anything, right? Because it's not about money. It's about your daughter that you tried so hard and you weren't allowed. And I don't know what they told her, but I know what my dad went through. But he was actually able to see me and Kathleen. Michelle, not at first, but I think Michelle realized she got a little frustrated with me not having regular employment, but she would sit home and screw off. And I guess, well, you're a girl, you get to kind of do that. And because of all the Mark, girls are girls, right? I mean, but she wasn't always the greatest girlfriend, okay? And I don't know what she was doing, but she wasn't always trustworthy either. And I don't know for sure, but she was running around a lot. And a lot of times I would go to work and I'd really be wondering what the hell, where she's at and what she's doing. And she wouldn't be at home. And she'd be running around with friends. And, I'm pretty sure, she was cheating on me quite a bit. And doing drugs. And whatever. And the point is, I I did everything I could. Um, I mean, I loved. I had to let go because it got to the point where it was so emotional that it kind of goes like this: like she got pregnant, and then when she had the baby, yeah, I did not provide. I was not consistently working, but I was always worried because she had been running around so much. Whether it was with my, and some of the times probably she was just having fun, but I guarantee it. I know she cheated on me, and she might not admit to it, but she did, and probably admit several times. Because she was getting involved back then. That was when Melissa and Christina at the restaurant, they were starting to get into that to the meth, amphetamine, like Bobby and them. Okay, and I'm not. This is crappy to talk about that. The people you grew up with that were your only family with no brothers and sisters. And sure, I did my fair share of whatever, and I don't care what. That's neither here nor there. It's not my point of this video about other than to explain that I was not the only problem. I'm admitting and saying I did my fair share of not having a job and not being a stable father. Yeah, but lots of people did that, and she wasn't a stable mother girlfriend. And she was constantly making me wonder what was, you know, I couldn't feel like she would stay home. She was always running around with Melissa and Christina again, and they were starting to get into to the meth. And as you know, later on, well, Bobby's broken in about 25 houses. He's got about 25 felonies. You know, I'm not proud, but in order to explain my story, I have to explain it. I don't have any felony. You've seen all mine. I could have, and that's why I've tried so hard. And that's why I got so mad at Anthony for not making me do the research, and I barely found it. And it's like he took it upon himself. And so the truth, Melissa and them. Now, Grant, remember Melissa had called remember Brandon Bellamy brothers. Yeah, he ended up getting apparently run over by a semi. That's the story I heard up in St. Cloud somewhere. And so all those people, and they're dead. The Bellamys, all right, the Bellamy brothers. There are some pretty okay. Uh, and I'm not proud of having, I did my fair share, but I want my daughter to know that I loved her so much. And I tried, I went to everything. Um, that and so Michelle started getting in trouble and she left me and she moved in the apartments that Rochelle Pust lived in, actually, right across from where Brandon beat the living hell. I think Brandon might have got a felony for that. Across the street, I heard some guy. I'm not sure. He beat the living hell out of some guy. Okay, and you just say, well, why do you tell Because I have to tell so that people know that it's the truth, and I want my daughter to know that because I feel like they've lied to her, and she had she had big time problems in school, and I tried to be there, and I was not allowed to be there. And so eventually, we did have an apartment, but it was just again at like Village Green or something there in Mounds View, and again, I would go out. I worked at that Home Depot for a while there, but when the guy come up to me and said I'm gonna be a millionaire, and I just kept feeling I just wasn't comfortable. Like I don't know if you're a guy and your gal is not at home and they're running around, or people are coming over and they're doing drugs, and you just get like frustrated and you don't trust, and you're like, I'm at work, and see, then you might get involved a little bit, and you're like, well, right, and so you end up staying home, and then you don't have a job, and so your mother-in-law's getting more pissed off, right? We had an apartment at Robinwood right across the street from downstairs from where Brandon actually lived in an apartment or lived in a house for a while with all them his buddies. And that went all right, but she didn't live there the whole time, and she had this best friend Corey who helped us move in and stuff, and she seemed like a childhood friend. And uh, so we had that lease for a year, and sure, uh, we had our fair share of problems. But again, same thing there. I remember that was the time when I had to go to jail at the workhouse because my own cousin called on that thing. So now my girlfriend has the apartment all to herself, and I'm in the workhouse. And I come home, I stop by because I'm working for Asplund, so I get out of there every day, trimming the. That's where I learned to like chainsaws. Um, I would get up and go to work at it, and I'd stop by and see, you weren't supposed to, but I'd check. I'd stop by there, and then there was this guy there one time, and I'm thinking, you remember them stairs back in Oceanside by me? Where, yeah, look, I'm not a felon, and I'm about ready to, like, I don't want to murder anybody, but what do think about that? And so this was before we had Madalyn, so I probably should have learned my lesson. I mean, she was cheating on me left and right. She was not a good girlfriend ever, but I liked her, and back then I'll tell you what, you wouldn't. She was really pretty. If you look at her mom's picture, really pretty, really really pretty, and she ain't so pretty anymore. She's older too, obviously, and she's 6 years younger than me, but I'm surprised how much different she. I only seen her one time a few back several years ago, and she was just that. It's just stuff like this. Now, would Madalyn know that? Heck no. You know, your mom was like that. She was, and I wasn't. I didn't at all. Well, finally, I might have at the very, very end. I'm just out of spite. I might have talked to one girl or something because I was so mad. I couldn't believe. And then she took off, and she was living in some house in with Anika. If anybody knows that big black girl, everybody knew her, and she knew some guys over in Champlin, and apparently they were big time cocaine dealers. So you can just imagine what I was dealing with. And I was trying to reconcile. I loved her, and I wanted to be with her, but she was no good. No good at all. And if you talk to Kathleen or anybody, they based on what I did, they would think, and I don't know what they've told Madalyn. And I didn't want to admit this, especially to the world, but especially to any of my friends, because like I said, you know, this is the worst part of my life. It ruined everything. And I had some really, really nice gals. And at this point, I'm getting older, and I get with her, and I do love her. And she's really pretty. You know, back then, yeah, really pretty. And but I couldn't ever get her to stay around and stay just with me. She didn't want to. Didn't matter if it wasn't about having a job. She just wanted to run around, and she did. And she was with crack dealers or coke dealers over for. She would leave. We had this apartment. One time, in fact, even one time, Kathleen came over with a bucket of. She'll tell you that, with some Kentucky Fried Chicken, a big old bucket enough for. And she's like, "Oh, where's Michelle?" I'm like, "I don't know. Why don't you tell me?" And she ate some chicken with me and kind of smirked, and I kind of got the idea like maybe it was like, I don't know, Michelle even sent her over there. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure she knew where her daughter was, right? But I ate the chicken, and she was that was about one of the few times she was kind of nice to me. And the only other time, one time, so when we moved in that apartment, she had this green Jimmy. I bet if you remember back then, Jimmy, and she let me take that and drive that up to my mom's to get a couch. And Dusty's oldest brother, Rich was nice to me because he's probably because that his girlfriend was them girls that I knew, and I think I probably seen that girl a few times, and the girls this girl that's going out with Rich, and they got matching jackets. You know that weirdo camper that wants to. You know, I'm with her. Rich was doing that with this girl. They had matching like Stewart, you know, NASCAR. Yeah, I'm not the only one. And so, what do I remember? So Rich was a truck driver. His claim to fame was Leanne Rhymes. He went to a Leanne Rhymes something, and he got her to come up to his truck and sign it inside, I guess. And so, anyways, he when we lived up in Bram, Rich would come up and they'd park his awesome, cool. I mean, night, you know, his truck and listen to the radio and have fires and drink beer or whatever. And so, yeah, he always was pretty nice to me. But Bruce Stroman, he what am I saying? I gotta get some coffee. So, oh yeah, so we got this apartment, right, Madalyn? And, you know, uh, Madalyn, and she's running around left and right, and then I come home, and there's a guy there. Oh my God. And it actually was a guy that was getting with Christina quite a bit and actually got a felony for stealing Lori's mother's. Roger Dodger from way up in North, almost in the Canadian, wherever they from. Uh, so this guy that's in my house, he used to be my cousin's boyfriend, and he actually was in prison, or they got him and had put him in for stealing some really valuable coins because Lori didn't like him because he got Christina on that meth crap, who later she died of an overdose in Arizona, I guess. Um, and so, but you gotta remember, it's like Melissa would always say to people, we don't get to, we don't choose our family, and this is my family. This is who I mean, the colonial estates, they lived there. I mean, I pretty much was in their life every day, forever. And I remember going over when Lori was thinking about being a police officer when they lived at these apartments in Brooklyn Center, and some guy was picking on Melissa, and I was, her older cousin, and I went over there, and yeah, he didn't do that anymore. And she always loved me for that. We were really close, you know. But then when she called them cops on me, I never trusted her again. I mean, yeah, we hung out eventually, but I never trusted her because I got to go to jail now. And now I got Christina's boyfriend. He gets out of jail for stealing coins from Roger, Lori's husband or something, a lot. Obviously, thousands of dollars. And so they get him in prison for a while, I guess. And now he's in my house sleeping with while I'm in the workhouse working. And if you're not getting the idea here, honey, Madalyn, uh, your mom, and the only reason I don't know, they wouldn't tell you none of this. They have you thinking I'm an evil guy, and now they got you in love with John, and John's been taking care of you, or you've been his best friend, kind of like my mom did to my dad. Which, yeah, you said, well, yeah, that's great, but I was there, and I was supposed to be your dad, and I tried. And what happened eventually would be that they took you away from, because your mom was on drugs so bad. And you can ask Rochelle Pust because she was there. It was they created a chips case when you guys lived with Simon, and Simon was a drug dealer, and he's a big dude. And so I was kind of limited on what I could do with that guy. He was pretty big, and he was a drug dealer, and he knew a lot of people. And I thought about it a couple times going over there, and I got to the parking lot, but I didn't want to become a felon. And so I thought about trying to be close to you. I we had the so I come home. I can't trust your mom. We had that apartment, Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm screwing around too, but I'm not cheating on your mom. And she's running around. Oh hell, I can't keep her there. She eventually comes back towards the end. She feels so guilty. I got so mad at her. I didn't even want to see her anymore. And she came home and she had a car that she had first bought because we were up. Initially, we were up at the house in Bram, and we had went that when she first turned 16. There was some money in some kind of trust fund that they had gotten from a settlement from her brother dying. Not much. And I've always been accused of that bullshit. Her dad was always saying that, and it wasn't a whole lot from what I understand. It was only a few $1,000s for a few years. Like that's petty change. Sure, it help her get a car or give her a few bucks, but if they thought, it's almost like they made her feel like, and she acted like it too. They had her convinced that I was hanging around to I was with her way before that. I fell in love with her way before I even knew about that. And you were it's just ridiculous. That was a big thing that really bothered me. They always made it like they had her thinking like I was with her just for that. I didn't even know about it. And it wasn't even that much money. It was petty. And so she bought like this old, it was okay. It was kind of like my Granada actually, but not rusty and a little newer. And I remember when she turned 16, we were up in Bram with her, and or when she turned 18, I mean, because she didn't get it till she was 18 or 19 or something. And so I remember we went down to that. In fact, I think the guy that owns the place might be the guy that his son is called Ocean. Some guy came down to Blaine Gun Club and shot one day and said, I own a car lot up 65 at Bryant towards Bram right up. And I thought, oh, maybe that's the one. And it was the kid's birthday and he was driving like a BMW because anyways, it's neither here nor, it just corroborates my story. So, because I'm everything I tell you is true. Because nobody's going to tell you what your mom was doing. And so, and I wasn't doing anything other than not having a job, a steady job, which it wouldn't have mattered because I come home. If I, you weren't allowed. She didn't think she had the chain on the door. She didn't. They didn't want to open the door, and he's got my clothes on. I mean, I can't believe I didn't. If I ever wanted to really hurt somebody, that was the day. Like I'm like, dude. What are you doing in my apartment wearing my clothes with my girl? Yeah, your mom did that to me. And I mean, if I was ever really gonna get violent, it would have been that day. Trust me. If I got through that, there ain't a whole lot anybody could do to me to get me to get crazy. And I just couldn't believe it. And I decided they weren't worth it. And if you want him, whatever. And then she ended up, I can't remember. I'd have to really sit down and put it all on paper, but it was just more crap like that, Madalyn. And I didn't deserve it. And your grandma have you thinking I was just this loser and your mom was sitting around playing with them sticks I'm talking about in a dress and she was running the town like a mad woman. I couldn't keep her. For short periods of time she'd stay with me and she'd always take off with them and then I don't know what the hell went on over there in Champlin, but that was some bad news crap. Really bad. And I knew better than to go anywhere. I mean, those guys had guns and they were gangsters. And I didn't, I was like, forget it, I quit. And then she eventually came back and she like actually put that car that we had got. I was so mad at her. She's like, here, take the car even, and so you trust me, and she put it in my name and whatever. But so she comes home for a while. Then the lease is up, and she goes up to Bram for a while, and I can't remember. I think I stayed with my Tom again or something. But there were times where she would make me feel loved. Like, for example, I think when there was a time where when we stopped that first apartment, we were kind of still together, and I think I was staying with my mom for a while, and she surprised me one time. One time, I'll be right. I gotta get my coffee. And you say, well, yeah, I was overly. Well, I don't know. Yeah, you were. We were having, that thing called sex. Yeah, yeah. And I was not having it with anybody else, well, other than myself and her, for a lot, several years. And I loved her, and I wanted to figure out a way to marry her, but that I didn't want her sleeping with it. Certainly didn't want to come home from the workhouse after my cousin did what she did. And then I come home and you go, wow, you really like telling this to anybody, but much less anybody after losing couple girls like Carrie and Alexis, and then many others. Elizabeth, even though she was her family was so good up there, and she was even though she was into a little bit of that, and she was a little different, but she played the piano, and she was a wholesome girl, and she was from up that way, and she was uh she was and she was beautiful, pretty too, but it's just it didn't. I don't know. I was too wild, and I think she went out to school at some New York art something too. But she came from a really nice. She had really nice parents that were together for 50 years, remember? And a brother that was really nice and really good family. And yeah, sure, she was a little alternative or whatever, but yeah, she was a really good one too, and I really loved her, but that's a different story. Yeah, it's kind of different. Yeah, I guess I probably should add her to that too, but I can't remember everything, But the point is, Madalyn, that yeah, but I was being faithful to her, and then coming home and seeing that after what, oh, and that's before you were, well, I don't, yeah, so you would have been conceived when, where exactly? I'd have to really think about this because I've had to put, in order to survive mentally, I've had to put it out of my mind because there's nothing more powerless than seeing something your daughter, even though you're trying and you're still in love with the mother and you're doing everything. I'm a family guy. I'm doing everything I can to get this girl to not run around like a maniac and yet try to get a job, but I can't trust her. She's crazy. She really is. No, I mean she's and I'm not crazy, and she's running around all hell, and and she's making me nuts. and that your grandparents will all have you thinking that I was all the problem. It was because I was chasing her around and got her pregnant or something. It's a bunch of. If it wasn't me, it'd probably have been that Flowers kid. She was really into that guy, and he like. Uh, I mean, I'm serious. Like, I'm pretty sure she got with him for a while too, while she was with me. I mean, who knows how many there were? I know for sure. Okay, so ask her about that. So what in the hell? And she'll say, "Oh, I was just trying to be nice because he was in prison." Oh no. And if you and here's another bizarre thing. Again, you notice how it's a theme. Anthony seemed to like my cousin. He gets along fine with the 55-time felon and breaks in people's houses. Never had any of the friends I ever had. He's like a punk like that guy across the street, and he runs his mouth. And Tony seemed. Kathleen loved. I forget the guy's name. She'll be able to tell you it was Christina's ex-boyfriend that robbed or didn't rob. They both did, but he went down for it, I guess, because Lori did not like him. So she got him in trouble. But ask him. Oh, well, Kathleen would take. It was just bizarre. If Kathleen liked him and he was in prison, and he would call and send pictures to Kathleen's house, and then Melissa or Michelle would go back to her mom's house and collect calls from prison. It was just weird. And yeah, they were all kind of friends because of Christina, Melissa, and them, but it was just overly weird. It was too friendly, especially when you had me around. I never liked that. And so I always knew there was something fishy there. And Kathleen is like, the guy's in prison and you hate my guts. And the guy goes, is in prison. And she really liked him. And then now he gets out. No, I'm just trying to help him. Oh, whatever. You don't do that to people. You don't do that behind my back thing. And she's thinking I'm not going to know because I don't stop, Back then, I mean, they would have guys that would follow you, when you leave the workhouse. If you'd get caught going anywhere except straight to work, I mean, you'd do a lot more time. You probably even today, but even back then, you were nervous. But of course, I had a suspicion that she was doing something, and I was right. In fact, you know what happened? Yeah, and he did it twice. So the next day, you know what I did? I tried to check, and I figured. So I call ahead. I figured he'd take off, and sure enough, so I'm thinking, I'm into security when I'm all them cameras on the roof up there. So I'm thinking, all right, if he's there, he's gonna get out of there. And he's gonna be up at the corner. Sure enough, he's up at the store in my clothes again. And I mean, I'm about ready to just hurt this dude. But I don't want to go to prison. And she ain't worth it at this point. You don't love me. Oh, you said, well, there was one time I felt like she really loved me. It was in between the time of, she totally surprised me. I had no idea. I was at my mom's staying, and she was she was somewhere. We were in between that apartment, the first one, and living up in Bram or something. And she just surprised me and came to see me. Said she was out with her friends, and she just showed up out of nowhere. I didn't have to ask her. I had no idea, and she surprised me, and I felt so loved that day. And she's like, I just wanted to see you, and I missed you, and I was with my girls, my friends, and I just want to come out and see you. And she flew out to my mom's. That was about the only time she really did something really nice, and I felt loved about all the time. Well, maybe I'd have to really think. There's probably a couple more, but that's the only one I can remember. Otherwise, I was always wondering where the hell she was, what she's doing, and why the hell she wasn't home. And your mom will go, well, he robbed their childhood. Or, hey, oh, baloney. And and now it's just the ones I can remember off the top of my head. So I'm pretty much like, then you got pregnant. I'd have to really think because I had to put this out of my head, Madalyn. Especially when you became so close with John, I couldn't take it anymore. And then when I saw that guy across the street kiss you on the lips, I was about ready to go to prison again. And that's when I walked away forever, or for good, until now. And I seen you once or twice, and you didn't look at me, and you don't know me, and other people that should know you shouldn't know you because she got pregnant. She's living with Simon. Anyways, there was a chips case, child protection, because she's with the drug dealer Simon. And they come in. I don't even know the story, but it's pretty serious. If I'm not even around, I'm not doing anything. I got nothing to do with it. We're not together anymore. Oh, so we lived initially right at Village Green, and it was the same with the more stuff. And I had that job at Home Depot at least. But I'd come home, she wouldn't be there. She kept running around. She wouldn't stay home. She wouldn't be there. She was wild. And so I quit that job, and I think I'm like, I'm just gonna stay with you. And so there was only a short time when you were a baby that I was there. And it wasn't long after that. Oh, yeah, so then she kicked me out of there. Or Kathy got me because at that time Kathy said I had to go or something because I didn't have a job or something. It was crazy. And then I stopped over a few times and it was just horrible. So it was like she just the typical using the child as a power play, as a ploy, and dealing with the mother-in-law that loved the felon guy in prison and hated all because we fell in love. And she didn't go home for a week or something, but she had that other boyfriend, that Pilgrim boy, and he was way over 18 and she was way under 18. And I guarantee there was sexual activity. Exactly what? She told me what it was, okay? So I am not the only one of anything. I just happen to be their scapegoat, and I can only imagine because she wouldn't let you even visit. She did everything she could to prevent us from having any relationship at all. And I tried to call, but and then somehow she started getting with that Simon right away, and it wasn't long. So then she moved her. So you guys moved into um You guys moved into those apartments where Rich was. Did Rich used to live there too? The apartments Rochelle Puss, the gray one, right? Not too far from the district, the school district place. Not right next to Faith Lutheran, where I first went to church. And I never was allowed in there. One time, I I finally she wouldn't they wouldn't tell me where you lived. There was a secret. I had to, become a detective. And basically, what ended up I begged her Like I find that, how did I ever find out? I don't remember how I figured out. Oh, John had started picking you up or something, and somehow accidentally John, or I think I might have got the phone number or something off of somewhere. I can't remember, but I had to do like your Sherlock Holmes. And I really didn't do anything. But they were doing everything they could to keep you away from me, and they had no problem bringing you around John and Mom. And or how did that go? So then I went over there and I would sit outside the door, and all I can think of is she was really heavy into the meth because she was emotionless. And then your grandma would use the money because she didn't have Michelle didn't have a job ever until maybe way later, ever. And she was as cold-hearted as they get. And I could, I don't know, I remember I was afraid they were going to call and say they got a suspicious person because I don't know how I found out. No, I remember now. I had found out that you were living there, but I had no idea where. And so I think I went to the office and I completely played the lady and made her think I was like Kathleen's lost cousin or something, and I'm looking for my aunt. I made up some story, and finally she's like, "Oh, they live over in that building there," and I'm like, "Oh, well." And it was like, I mean, I had to go through hell to figure out where you were. Finally, I figured out, and there was nothing. I can't remember. Then I think I had to do a stakeout, and I finally figured out what was on the third floor. I think. I mean, you're my daughter. I want to get close. You're my baby. You know, we did spend a couple months at Village Green, and I changed your diapers. We slept together. I watched you. I held you. They'll say, well, um, and the big one they'll probably tell you is that I wasn't there when you were born, but I was there right after you were born. But the thing is we weren't together, and she was so horrible. It's remember the story about Paul. I mean, he came at the last minute, right, with Tammy, and then Tammy let me name Elise, right? So I wanted to be there, but I mean, they were making my life so much hell. And my mom was there, and I don't know if you're aware, but in the Bible, but the midwives go in, and I think the men sit outside and let the women do it, and then they come out and show the baby to the men. I might not be right, something like. So this isn't. I was there right after you're born. I wasn't in the room. Okay. And another thing that really, really made me very, very angry. I mean, angry is okay. We've got Dusty who allowed his son to die in a river. We've got him cheating on your grandma. He's not a very nice guy either, if you didn't notice. But they'll have you thinking that because remember when you guys got the apartment, even see this gets into the weird shit why Tom is staying overnight. This is weird shit again. From across from University Avenue, where I went to school, them apartments across the way where John forever picked you up, which is such bullshit. And I'll get to the bottom of it one day. The Dusty comes, so instead of having the dad, Kathleen brings her ex-husband, who she absolutely hates his guts and has never talked to, never had sex with, never been near for about 20, 50 years. And all of a sudden, he's staying there with her and you. And so now You're with Dusty, Bruce Stroman, instead of your father. So you're with them to him as a baby. She's going to say, oh, I brought him in for security because you were crazy. Yeah, right. You wouldn't even let me near my kid. She wouldn't even let me see you at all. She terrorized me. And she finally, after a while, Michelle tried a couple times, but your grandma used money as a weapon because you know how crazy and wild your mom likes to run around. She didn't want to work. She wanted to watch you during the day, and then when Kathy come home, she wanted to leave you with Kathy and go play. And as long as she stayed away from me, she got to use the car and got money because your grandma had a good job at Onan's. And a couple times she tried to secretly hang out with me, and it was like your grandma would go do special undercover investigations to find out what she's. I mean, the it was zero tolerance. You can do anything you want. I'll give you some money. The car. I want you to stay away from Nick, no matter what. And finally, after she got on the drugs real heavy, and she's got new boyfriends. She didn't need me anymore. I didn't. She didn't care. She was and she's getting money. She gets to do whatever she wants. I mean, not a bunch of, but she don't have to work at all for many years. And she did not have a job. I don't know when she ever finally got a job, but you don't know, and so I finally figure out that other apartment though first. I'm just mad that why is Dusty all of a sudden important? Why is your grandfather Bruce Stroman all of a sudden important after killing her son, or allowing him to go fall in the river, or not being responsible? And I don't know. That's the story. I'm not saying it's his fault. I'm saying, and then he's yelling. He hates me. I'm the big problem. I'm the problem for all of Michelle's problems. But no, people never do anything. He never did nothing. And then he cheats on her. He was and loses his wife. And now his wife doesn't talk to him for 10 or whatever, except for with Michelle. And now all of a sudden it's important because she wants to make sure that she can do anything to prevent any kind of bonding or male. Replace that with Bruce and John. Why? It's weird. Right? You didn't want nothing to do with your ex-husband, really, other than to talk him on the phone and say hi when you pick up Michelle or whatever. And now she brought him in and out of spite. And he's living in the apartment for a while and driving truck a little bit here and there, but probably waiting for me to show up so he can kill me. And I knew better then, and I know better now. And so, but anyways, so back to the other apartment. I finally figure out what it's on the third floor. Of course, it's going to be on the third floor because you don't want me to get close. So I finally figure out, and I wait for Kathy to go to work, and I start going over there in the mornings, and I can't get in. So I got to wait sometimes for long periods of time to get in, figure a way, but she won't buzz me in. And I sit outside the door and I beg her to let me in and see you. And like days, she wouldn't. I'd sit out there for hours to the point where I figure, if the police come, they're going to arrest me for something. And I don't want to get arrested. And finally, I think she finally let me in one time. And she was so cruel. And we went in I don't know, I got to see you for like 5 minutes. I don't even think she let me hold you. You might have even been sleeping. And yeah, and what she's gonna say is he was so obsessed with me, he wasn't even focused on you. I guarantee that's what she told you. But of course, I wanted to be with you and her. Okay, and it's tough. I wanted to be with her. I wanted to be a family. It's tough to try to and think of all the stuff that's gone on. And that was one time I think she let me in there because then Kathy found out, and that was it. Then I finally got the phone number somehow. Probably got it off of my mom's cell phone or secretly. Nobody would give it to me. It was like this big conspiracy. And eventually I think so then you stayed there for a while and then I don't know how long and you moved into Simon's, I think, in Fireside, and I get a call and there's a child protection case and they say, you what do you want to do? Do you want, and I hadn't seen you for a while, but you're starting to, so there's no court order. So I can't, and it's expensive, right? I got, it's to try to get custody at that point with the way Kathy was going. But then, so I was waiting and and it was impossible to see you. I wanted to, I tried. And yes, I tried to get her back too, or at least give me one last chance of, hey, whatever you say, half the kingdom, she would have none of it. And she was high as a kite. She had no emotions. In fact, one time she spit on me. And when she did that, when she spit on me, I stopped love. I mean that was pretty much it. But I lost all respect for her. She spit on me like a pig. For what? Because she's a drug addict and a promiscuous. And I don't want to be really mean, but she was I'll be nice, very promiscuous, and it had nothing to do with me getting with her and falling in love. Well, anything at any age, I loved her for real, and I guess did I do it right again? No. Should have I been more respectful and maybe you should have went home yeah, maybe, I guess. But we fell in love and we were hanging out and I suppose yeah, her mom was worried at first, but she was with me and she was safe. And we wanted to be together and I loved her. And I thought she loved me, but boy, later I come to find out, boy, she liked to run around and have sex with other guys. Okay? I don't care what she says to you, she's lying. And they did everything they could, and I just can't imagine what they've said to you about me. Because from day one, Kathleen set out to make my life absolute living hell and misery, and to make sure that I never had anything to do with you. And you know how? So there was no seeing you at all until it wouldn't, unless the Anoka County would have got involved with that chips case. So I get a call and they say, look, your daughter's there in emergency custody with, yeah, I don't know. And we'll call you back, but we're started a process of terminating Michelle's parental rights. And they say, do you want to be involved? And I say, yes, of course. And so, I can't remember exactly how old you were. I'm living with Tom in New Hope off of 169. And there was one time before, I think before this, yeah, that she allowed I was calling and calling her constantly. And yeah, I was trying to get with her and you. But she was all she wanted to do was use me as a babysitter. All right. So I'm pretty frustrated. Remember the guy in my house? And now I'm still with her. I'm pretty fed up. And then what happens is um um so what happens next is so one time I talked her into seeing you, but it was to go on a date with Simon. She wouldn't even come over and just even sit there for 5 minutes. And she was being the snotty and she was high on drugs, snorting meth in my bathroom, doing her hair and just being a real snotty jerk. And I got pretty frustrated and I said, "Hey, can you just stay here with us? Can we just be friends and you just sit here?" And she says she says no, and she gets up to take you. And oh, this is on my thing. So what do? I don't fifth degree domestic assault her. I take a scissors because she's got a brand new uh shirt and she's getting ready in front of me and she's just really hurting my feelings and really sticking it to me, and I haven't seen you, or I haven't been allowed to see you for months. It was that blue Lumina she was in. And so what I do is um I cut her shirt as she leaves. She puts you in the car, or she grabs you, and so I'm upset. She's gonna take you. I don't get to see you either. I'm mad, and so out of spite, I did. I take. And if you don't, if you read the police report, you'd have no idea. I took a scissors to hurt her, and I cut her shirt on the way out. I didn't stab her, didn't cut her. I just, okay, you little snotty girl, you taking my kid now again? I just a little cut in her shirt to really piss her off, right? She leaves, and uh, she, I think she purposely left the car seat or something, but she calls the cops, and then the cops come over, and either they come and get the, God, they might have even knocked the damn door down that time. I can't remember. And so I basically, they come get the car seat and I have to go through that. That caused me quite a bit of problems. You leave, I don't see you again for months. You go back to Simon and them. I get that call for the chips case. She I'm like, yeah. And they're like, okay, well, we need you to immediately we need you to give a hair sample. I don't know. No, they said you're subject to hair, blood, and urine. You start tomorrow. You got to give a UA tomorrow. So you have no time if you're on drugs or anything. Marijuana, amphetamines is 72 hours minimum. Marijuana is 30 days. They're going to know immediately. And if there's anything, being the guy. And here's the bizarre thing. She failed at least 3 or 4 UAs in this 6 month, I think it was 6 months or a year trial. She couldn't even stay sober with you. She didn't love you enough that she was worried that they were going to take her parental rights. She didn't care. She cared more about the drugs. So if they ever talk, I never failed one U, and I still got them right here for you. I got every copy. I got the pictures from when we were in the family thing. Rochelle Pust was there for a while. You can ask her. She's my childhood friend. I used to drive up here and meet her at McDonald's in Forest Lake. Brandon worked at Candio Hub, all that, all these videos. And I got a stack of UAs. I'd go in every other day to Anoka. I'd drive. and never failed one because I loved you, and there was no way I was going to risk like her. I took it as serious as I could. They had no intention. The only reason they involved me was in order to terminate her rights. They had to terminate mine. They were never Gina Solomon, Heidi Heitkamp. They never were ever. Even though I never failed one UA, I went to every parenting class every week, and we hung out. And then when I got so good at that, they cut me off of that. They would change the hours around because we'd be getting along so good. They did everything they could. It's just like even them. And they didn't care. And she failed at least 3, like a moron. Like they're about to take your child and you don't care enough to stay sober. And your dad did. Your father was there holding you, and we would have snacks. And John was weird. He would hang around like a lurch and come. And that's when I started to think he was my friend. And they'd come around, and the only reason they were doing it is because they wanted grandparent rights. And I wasn't even on drugs, and I had to take a test the next day. And she was on drugs. They gave her time to not get off the drugs, stay sober, because obviously the mother, that's the default. They always try to reunite the mother, obviously. Okay, I wasn't a felon. I wasn't on drugs at the time. I was drinking a little beer or something, maybe. I wasn't even smoking pot. I can show you. I got them here I saved them and pictures of when we were there. And they would have you to believe that I'm this evil, nasty, and look what they keep writing about me. And we'd go it started in the evenings, and then she was supposed to be there like before, of course. So, and they were limiting. So what would happen at these is it was in that building where the old Bible they used to sell, the Grand Slam building, right across from the old Target. Sherwin-Williams is right there. And I'd go for an hour to what they do like an educational thing. They talk about parenting or whatever, and you'd have to do some worksheet and formality, and then we'd go inside and they'd observe us through darkly colored. I mean, it was, there's they're these child protection people, and your mom was supposed to be there before me usually, and sometimes she would be there and sometimes she wouldn't. It was just chaos, and they had like I don't know, and sometimes we were really bonding, and other times I think you were just stressed out because at first because you were staying in you were with some emergency people that keep the kids. So you're in an unnatural environment, and I can't remember if temporarily. So then I think later. So what happens is Gina Solomon and Heidi Heitkamp pull me in, and they ask me, well, and about 5 other women, and they asked me the strangest question. Hold on, I gotta go to the bathroom. So the only thing I could think of is where it went wrong, and they set me up. Uh, and again, with how John gets involved with you is bizarre. How close he got to you, I don't know about it, but I know that Doug across the street kisses you on the lips, and I'm about ready to go to prison. Okay? And I'm your father, and I wanted to be your dad, and I was willing to do anything. And so they call me into the county, and they're like, "All right, so we're gonna take her out of the thing." And they asked me, "Where do you prefer you go to?" They asked me. They said, "Would you prefer? Who do you want her to go with?" And I'm thinking, well, that's kind of a stupid question. I mean, is this a trick question? Like, do you want her to go to your mom or that woman that's been destroying my life, hasn't let me see my kid, and hates my guts, and has pretty much probably lied and done everything she could to get you to hate my guts and get Michelle to get you to hate my guts, and she did. Because of money and whatever else, they did everything they could. And so I'm thinking, remember, your daddy's not that smart. I'm thinking this has got to be a trick question. And I'm thinking about it, and I'm going, so you know what? You know, your daddy's not totally stupid. So I say, well, so I'm thinking, well, what's the best route for me to get you? Is it through Kathy or through them? And I'm thinking, John and my mom are already hanging around, lurking. Well, I don't mind my mom. I'm not that close with John, and he's lurching around. And now he abandons me and leaves me and laughs at me and giggles all the while he's been around you all because of Kathy wants to do it. She'll have you around anybody but me. And so, I'm thinking, well, this is a trick question. Yeah, you've got to be the obvious. You'd think obviously my parents, but I'm thinking she can't pass a UA, so they're not going to want you. They're not gonna want you around. You'd think if she can't stay sober and she's on drugs, I'm thinking they're not going to give her custody, right? Because they're not going to want her around you if they. And I don't want. I'm thinking if they go, they're already wanting some sort of grandparent. They're coming around way too much. And I'm thinking they're wanting custody. And if they get custody, then it doesn't matter. Then I don't get it. And I'm your father. I don't want John. I thought she can't stay sober. This was what I was playing on. My best chance to get you is to let you go over to Kathy's. And if Michelle's dependent on her mother living there doing drugs, failing UAs, they'll eventually give me a go. So I say, Kathy. That was my rationale, what I was thinking. And looking back, it was the wrong decision, obviously. Maybe, probably, yeah. And even if I had said them, I don't think they did everything they could. I don't know. Kathy must have some special rocks in her pocket or know some people in them county, or them women stick together. And they do everything they can. You go look at the record. I guarantee it. Because what would happen is if I don't know how many times Michelle wasn't there. Because if she failed the UA, they wouldn't let her see you there and do the parenting program because she's on drugs. I got everyone you can see. And what I'll do is I'm gonna put them in a safety deposit box somewhere, and I'm gonna put the key somewhere, so when you're old enough and you ever get access to this video, nobody can burn them or destroy them. and they're about that thick. And you can look at them yourself and know that your daddy's telling the truth and that I loved you and I tried everything I could do and I played think, you know what I mean? I thought strategically maybe that's the best move because and come to find out with a guy kissing you in front his boyfriend kissing you, I almost killed him. I couldn't believe, and you wonder why I'm saying that evil is as evil as it gets. I don't care who his name is, if he's a Harper, if he comes from a goddamn publishing company, or what he does for a living. You kissed my daughter in front of me, and I don't even. I mean, I was okay. Forget that guy. I was about ready to smash his living. That's when I had to walk away for good. Till now, because I was going to go to prison. The audacity, that fucking guy. And so, if anybody ever questions my mental stability, if I didn't do anything to that Doug that day, yeah, okay. And you can say whatever you want about anybody else. I don't care. This is right in front of me. You're a stranger, and you got the balls to come up right in front of her dad, who's been struggling, trying. Like, who in the fuck do you think you are, buddy? Yeah. I couldn't fucking believe it. I still can't fucking believe it. And now you got this dickhead treating me that way. Fuck him too. And now he's moving my mom's shit around. What a dick. And they've been trying to screw me since day one, honey. And I love you. And I always loved you. And the problem is when I say, can I help? Because there's a couple times I saw you out at Natura Farms, and that's fucking weird too. And I saw you tried, and you could tell. It's just weird because you got a relationship with another man as a fatherly figure. You go look into John's past, and he pissed me off. And he's giggling at me. He's trying to urge me on again, laughing at me, promising me he's going to help me with my accounting. And then he smiles at me and sends me a text saying I'm going fishing. And then he's studying his shit. I never had any intention of helping me. I don't know where that came from. So if he ever wonders why I said what I said about Doug, go find out what happened with his kids when he lived in White Bear Lake. Hmm? Hey, there's something evil in this world, and so forget that. But back to I did everything I could. Never failed the UA. I mean, I was kissing their behind. You're my daughter, and I'm thinking, and maybe it was the wrong move. I thought that's my only chance because John and them, if they get custody, I gotta give it to me, and you can see why they kept you away from me too. As soon as my mom could find an excuse to not do the visitation, she did. And John was putting up such a fuss. She probably would have got a divorce, is what it is. And I'd like to know why. I think I'm pretty sure, right? So I go, I'm over there, honey. And I seen you a couple of times and you just you don't know me. You got influence. They're telling you I'm a loser without a job. Did you know your mom's the way she run around? You know what they call that in the Bible. That's what your mom is or was. Not me. The only thing they got on me is I kind of didn't have a job here and there, but I was chasing her around trying to get her to be a wife or marry me or settle down. They made up all lies there too. And I went to the county and I thought my best chance is she's not going to stay sober and they're going to give me a chance. If it goes that way and I never thought why they would let her keep her. And it was even worse is Kathleen got sick of you and gave you back to Michelle while she was on drugs. And I think even for a while they tried to stop it, Heidi and Gina, but finally they gave up. And then eventually I called. I did something and so Kathy took you back and said, all right, you're officially living here or something. But you went back to live with Simon and them. And yeah, I'm pissed. And but if I didn't hurt Doug that day, I ain't ever gonna hurt anybody because I ain't gonna throw my life away. But this is the truth. And so you say, well, where you at, Daddy? Because I'm your daddy. And I'm your father. And I tried to be a daddy. They wouldn't let me. And then I wasn't on the drugs. You can look at them. They're not going to keep doing this shit to me without me telling everything. And I think this is what they're covering up, actually. All the sickos. Because them people out at that farm are sick, I think. I don't know what the hell they got going on out there. And John was really weird when I went out there. Like possessively, like strange. And he's a jerk. At the very least, I don't care anymore because he can do what he wants. He played little games. And you know what else? So I would so where are we at? So you go back finally they're like, okay, so I never did tell my mom that because I didn't want to hurt her feelings and I didn't know if it was the right play, but I thought that was my best chance to get you because they had good jobs and I figured once they got you they'd take iron control and then I'd get so frustrated with them too. I thought now looking back maybe it probably would have been a better idea because at least I would have had access to you, but this way I thought I could get you my own because your mom couldn't stay sober for more than a few days. And they just kept giving her back to you, giving more, never even gave me a chance. And I never failed one UA, ever. I went to every parenting class. Kathy's bringing in Bruce, Dusty, who used to bounce for Meatloaf, if you're wondering where I get that from. And now he's probably involved in something here. Around here, he's the garbage guy. And him and Sonny broke up. These people try to find another goat for their own sins. And they won't be honest. And I loved you so much. And you're beautiful. And you're skinny. And you're really, really pretty. And so I say, maybe I got a chance this way. And so you go back there and she keeps failing. I think it was 6 months they did. They didn't extend it. They never had an intention. And here's where it even gets worse. That big fat guy, jerk guy that out of Roseville who's got those big old dinosaurs, and I used to see him all the time going into the youth detention center. He's a big old swine, and he was such a jerk to me. And this is my instincts were right, honey. They wanted your custody of you. So my mom hired, just like she hires Anthony to lie to me or not tell me the truth or not disclose what I'm, because she's a tutti frutti liberal, two-fisted, who, and in Anthony's defense, he's looking at a lot on paper. He probably don't know everything. Maybe he's going on what mom's saying, and he's listening too much to her, and he's not following the code of ethics with me, though, because she's paying some of it, or most of it sometimes, or all of it. It's still unethical. And if you think I can trust you, no. Unless you would talk to me about it, and he won't. And I don't want another fucking restraining order, so. You know what the worst of this is, honey? Madalyn? They hire this goon who likes to go over to Africa and kill elephants for fun. He is a dick. And he's out of Roseville there, and he's just a pig. Big old fat pig. And he was a jerk, and he was hired by my mother to not to help me, to secure grandparent rights. So your grandma Martha and John were playing me the whole time, and so I knew it. So I made the right call. I find out later, actually, right? But in the end, maybe it wasn't. But they were playing me. Because the way John kept you, it's just bullshit. It's the truth. And sure, I had my fair share after that. After I completely knew I couldn't get you, I probably had some more problems. It's tough when you do all that stuff and think, hey, the system ought to say at least. You think there's guys like me out there that didn't at least get a try with their daughters? And I understand they'd like to always go to the mother, usually for obvious reasons, but as long as the father is trying and he's sober and he's got two good parents, which they never even encouraged any of that. It was like it was separate. It's just weird. And so I finally you go back to with Kathy, and so then where was Michelle staying with Simon, and I think she got pregnant again for the 50th time or something like the fourth time by 4 different guys or something. Yeah, she knows how to pick them, doesn't she? First, she trades me before you're born for the guy that goes to prison for stealing from Roger. And then she goes with Brad, who goes to prison. Boy, she's really a winner, isn't she? And I'm ashamed of that I got to even admit this, actually. And apparently Simon for a while, and he had a job, a siding company for a while, but like I said, and I even think they tried to set me up one time. They were going to meet me at Moore Lake, and they said, you got to meet us at the park, and if you ever go over there, down there by it's all cornered off, and there's nowhere. It was just weird, and you weren't there. And she showed up, and I left. I was like, what's going on here? because he's a pretty big guy and he knows that's his area and he's a drug dealer. But eventually, I think he started going to church in New Hope for a while because he had to go to remember that New Hope Alamo that I my dad owns or built, started and owns, and I went to for forever, and everybody knows me and likes me, and I'm friends with everybody. And he's going there, and then he starts going to church or something. So I think he tried. I don't know what he ever ended up. He always was working, doing something, but he's a pretty big dude. So I pretty much stayed away from him, and he had a lot of friends, a lot of other druggies and drug friends. So I knew that was dangerous, and so I was limited on what I could do, and I didn't want to get a felony and go to prison. And so I basically, you go back to, she's with him. She's at least 3 to 4. You'd have to look at the record. She wouldn't. I mean, does a mother that loves you, you're her first baby, and it's more important for her to get high on methamphetamines and do what? Have fun? Then she can't take 6 months. And Dusty and Bruce, they want to blame me because I was in love with her, and she's cheating on me constantly because she didn't come home for a few days when I first met her. Oh, but Dusty, they lose their kid in the river, and then he cheats on her with Sonny, and it's all convenience. Like she just your grandma Kathy hated my guts. I was her scapegoat from day one. She never gave me a chance, ever. And your mom would never stay home. So I couldn't relax enough and be at work even and thinking that she wouldn't be running around having sex with somebody else or somebody's in her apartment. Right? You know why, right? Yeah. And so this is just crazy. So I finished and then not only that, so my mom hires this lawyer, right? And you remember my grandma's Lois and my mom's just neurotic, right? I'm a good boy. I'm a good kid, naive little buck, playing tons of sports. What did Michelle do? She got in with the hoodlums right away and started smoking on the corner at school, and now she's banging the boyfriend when she's like 15. She's banging Pilgrim in the basement of her mom. Yeah, that's a real nice mom too, huh? That was a good idea, huh, Kathy? Yeah, you were a real good mom. That was a good tag team double matcher, eh? Yeah, good one. Yeah, you're such a nice person. And so she hated my guts. They blame, and then she brings in Bruce to stay at the apart, probably only to hurt me. Let's go back a little bit. You know what they do? So when she's 18, so yeah, I was with your mom a little bit before she was 18. Yeah, I'm not the first one. Remember that? You know what they do, honey? Well, I mean, we're in love. Like we're riding around, hanging out with my cousin. We're everywhere together. I mean, we're every day. Your mama loves me. She's with me every second, every moment of the day. To the point where, yeah, at that point, yeah, well, she had already started. She was already struggling in school. Probably because she's got a crazy mom that she lost her boy, and then her husband cheats on her with Sonny. She's nuts. That's what happens to women when you do that kind of thing. They go crazy and they act crazy. And so you're probably getting some of that, or Michelle's probably getting some of that. She's probably having a little problems in school. Her parents aren't together. Her brother's dead, and her mom's nuts. So she had already started struggling in school. It wasn't me. Now And so she's getting frustrated and she's in love with me and she's struggling. So yeah, she's spending more time with me. But if you ever think if she ever blames me for her credit again, I'm gonna puke. I'm gonna vomit. I didn't destroy your goddamn credit, Michelle Ray Stroman. And I have nothing to do with her not graduating if she ever did or get her GED. Okay? They blame me for everything. And look at all the nice things I did all my, yeah, maybe these people aren't my friends anymore, but I did a lot of different things. I was into sports, and this is what happened. I was working at the restaurant and did everything I could to get you. And your grandma, and the only thing I'll say is Michelle tried a little bit at first, but there was so much influence from your grandma with the money and the cars, and not, she didn't have in the babysitting. She she just decided it's easier to have a few bucks a car, and I didn't have a steady job after Home Depot because well, and she was just done. Remember when your girls are done, they're done. And so I was frustrated, and she's like doing everything to just keep you. And but the bizarre thing is, she was always trying to get Bruce or somebody else around you. She didn't bond as long as it wasn't me. It was like she would get her jollies off knowing that I was suffering or I want punishing me. Sure, I did some stuff again, but I didn't deserve all that. And so I basically what happens is you go back with her. I'm doing the we're doing we finally finished the chips case, and they realized they couldn't get rid of me, and they never ever had any intention of ever even letting me have you ever. All the only reason they brought me in was to get, and I bet you if I would have had one dirty UA and they would have taken her rights, and you would have went right to Kathy. So what happens? Well, your perfect father in blazing colors passes again, like I always do, but nobody knows about it. I pass every UA. I've got all the proof, and I hope you read it one day. And I go to all they change it up on me too, because, well, not only that, you're moody, you're sleeping. There's a lot. It's tough. And they're watching us through the glass, and you're a little girl going through all that stress of being here, being there, your mom not seeing your mom's not seeing. You've got all these different people. No wonder you had problems in school, for God's sake. And then grandma's got the audacity, Martha. Oh, she made me so mad when she told me, "Oh, Madalyn wouldn't have been good enough for you anyways, because she's got a little learning." Yeah, sure. The one who decided to not have a divorce because it was easier to get rid of me and let John have you all the fucking time. Because that's what she did. And so what happens is finally they're not going to give you to you go back with Kathy, and they're changing it up. They kept changing the date. I mean, they tried to get rid of me, and your daddy's the champ. I might not be the king, but I'm the champ. They always try to get me, and I always win. And you know what? It's because I'm smart, I'm a good person, and I cared about you. And I don't mean like I won with it, because I didn't win with you, but I fought, I jumped through all their hoops after all they were doing to me, keeping me away from you. I would take the bus all the way from New Hope once a week up there, because but way early. I'd make sure I got there, and I'd hang out at Grand Slam and 3 hours early so I wouldn't be late. I didn't want to take any risk of a car breaking down and not getting there. I'd go way early, take the bus up Coon Rapids Boulevard, and just sit there. Well, back then they had a Bible place in there too. I'd go in there. I'd walk around, waiting to take another. I mean, they couldn't give me enough UAs. Come on, you want my hair, blood? I'm like, this is my girl, man. When am I gonna get a little play here? I want, she keeps. You're my daughter, not like play as in, you know what I mean? Like how many UAs does she have to fail? So you say, hey, all right, buddy, we'll give you a chance. No, none. The mom, Martha, never. It was always selfish. I don't care what they say. And finally, I think it was 6 months. They said that's it. We're done with her. She's done, and we don't feel comfortable with you. We're going back to court to terminate. Or yeah, to terminate. We're gonna petition to terminate parental rights and give it to Kathy. And I'm thinking, my mom's got this lawyer supposed to be for me. I'm thinking, right? I'm Lois's son, right? Right, Mom? You hired this. No, you hired this lawyer to make sure that you would get weekend rights for yourself, not me. Sick. And you say, well, you could have this, that, whatever. I did everything I could for you. I fought for you. I would have. And the only thing they can say is I didn't. Yeah, did I have a job? Well, those were different tough times, and so I don't know what exactly. I can't remember what I was doing, but that might have been something out again. But still, she didn't have a job, and she couldn't even pass a UA. And we could have all went to live at mom's, but they didn't. They never had that planned. It was to get rid of me. That's it, because they kept moving the day, time, everything. Rochelle Pust was actually up there for a short, like, couple of weeks one time, and she just disappeared. And so it was frustrating. And we go to court. We got that lawyer, and I'm thinking he's fighting to try to get me custody, and it was not. He never. And so, of course, once again, I get frustrated with Martha's lawyer, not my lawyer, because you're not fighting for my rights. You're playing me. You're making me think you are, but you're really just. Everybody's always lying to me. And I got mad at this guy, and we went to court, and all they were going to do. So they basically told me, hey, either you can agree to something here, like you what did they do? So that we're terminating parental rights. And you're going to Kathy's, and there's not going to be any real court order. It's kind of like, oh yeah, that's real nice. Yeah, we're gonna let Kathy let what you're gonna. So basically, what it is they're trying to just continue to get rid of me. They say, what you do, we're gonna write tentatively. It's not written in paper, or it is, but it's not in order, and Kathy can stop it at any time. So it's like this written sort of, where you go every other weekend with me, with my mother, not John, with my mom as the supervisor from Friday afternoon till Saturday night. Oh, it was just overnight. Every other weekend, and then it was supposed to be even on a Wednesday for a couple hours. But if there was any kind of lapse, like, oh, you mean like Martha making a fuss, making it so impossible for me too, that I might have skipped a week or two, and your Kathy finds out and she uses that and says, you can't see her no more. But everybody else gets to, including John, who you, of course, know, are closest to. And my mom did the same thing to my dad as she did to me. And it lasted for a couple weeks, and she would fight, and all I would try to do is we'd go out there, we'd pick you up, and she'd complain all the time, but yet she agreed to it because they terminated the parental rights. They had to do both, or how did that work? I can't even, it was so stressful. All I know is I couldn't believe after all we went through, and I had a lawyer that grandma paid for her. They weren't even gonna consider me for even like a month. Like maybe start at mom's house because of John and mom. You gotta, hey, you gotta start to show that you can, have stable income. Hey, we're gonna give you a chance. Never once. Not even, it was never ever even considered by Heitkamp and Solomon ever, and they'll if they're honest, they'll admit it. All they were trying to do is wait, and yet they gave her 3 or 4. She failed with methamphetamine. Tell me that, honey. You think she loved you? She didn't love me, and she didn't love Simon, and she just keeps moving around like she always did. Maybe she settled down now or something, but because she ain't in her 20s no more, and she is not anywhere pretty like she used to be. And now she's got a bunch of kids, I guess, from wherever. But if you can't even stay sober, number one, I didn't ruin your damn credit. You did. It was one little stupid credit card. And all that money your freaking mom was giving you, oh, why do you think she wouldn't give you the payment for that? Because she wanted you to blame me for it, you dummy. And then on top of that, you got your daughter here. You got the child protection in Anoka County, and you won't even stay sober for your daughter. And you got the audacity to tell me that I'm the problem, and that Dusty and all these people, and yet I got the proof right here. They got the proof down it. No, I never failed one goddamn UA. You think I'm the only guy that ever liked naked ladies? No. I might be the only guy left that want to get one in a dress and play with them little sticks, though. But I tried, honey, and it was so painful. I couldn't hardly take it. And seeing your mom with them, and I tried, and that's what set me off. And so Grandma agreed to that unwritten kind of thing, but I had no custody rights at all. After 6 months of no failed UA, she's got 4 failed. Hey, 1 or 2, hey, we're going to try to keep, but 3 and 4, you're an absolute loser. You don't care about your daughter. You didn't love her. You love drugs. And now you've told everybody and her all along. and everybody gave her to everybody else, and y'all still want to blame me. It's all bullshit. And you know what? I tried, honey. I did. And the sad thing is what happens is it's like with my dad. Yeah, I got to see my dad though, so there's a connection that can probably be somewhat restored to the point, and it's different with a father and a son than a father and a daughter and a daughter. And that's why I always say if there's something I can do to help. But you see what kind of person I am in the Bible and all that, and I don't listen to music. And I did, one time here. I haven't done that in years. I just did it to show that I could be adaptable and I'm not this rigid freak. But I don't listen to music. I just sit and study accounting, read the Bible, and yeah, you guessed it. It's been a while since I had a naked lady, and I do. I like them once in a while. I struggle with naked lady. Yep. And I'd like to get just one for the rest of my life and have a family, not do illegal methamphetamine and be a loser and go around from other men because you were doing that way before you were with me, Michelle. And I should have had brains back then and got away from you. I didn't ruin your life. You loved me just as you would have dropped out of school without me, and you probably would have got with the flower somebody else. I'm just your convenient scapegoat. And now I ruined your credit too. But yet your mom. Well, where was the why went all the car and all the money for the drugs? As long as you stayed away from me, you couldn't come up with $20 a month for a while on a $500 credit card. You're saying because you didn't pay a $500 credit card, I ruined your credit because we might have drove around and bought fast food for a month, wasn't it? And then you broke up with me, and I'm supposed to. You're just ridiculous. Be honest and stop it. And admit you're a loser for not passing US, not me. And the fact that you did that and that you'd have the audacity to blame me still for anything, hmm? I suppose it's convenient though, because you're still a druggie. And so it's nice to be able to tell somebody that, oh, you know that my drug dealer, Melissa, by the way, her cousin, like ruined my life and he has a pretty good talking point, and then oh boy, we get a few people thinking that and this. Oh, and maybe Dusty's on the horn again, huh? Yeah. Well, guess what, Madalyn? Honey, I tried. And now I made some of these videos and I'm done making these videos now. Because I'm not saying I don't care what anybody says, and it's sad. And it's the truth, and it wouldn't have mattered if I had a stable job. They wouldn't give me any custody, right? So it wouldn't have done me any good. I could have spent 10, 20, 10, $15,000 trying to get custody. Your grandma Kathy wasn't going to allow it. The county wouldn't agree to it. If they wouldn't even give me any custody, real custody where she couldn't stop it, and I never failed the UA, and they give her the authority because Grandma Martha, because of John, he's starting to put up a big old fuss and get all mad and go. Mom's afraid he's having an affair and she's going to leave and lose the house because we're hanging out every other weekend and he's not with you. And so what ends up happening? Do you hang out with Grandma at all, really, other than at the house? No. You go to that goddamn Natura Farms or wherever you guys go, the parks, then you run around with him. And does he ever consider ever bringing you around me? No. Because why? Because if he does, well, Kathy's going to cut him off too, right? Yeah. And so it wouldn't have done any good to get a lawyer. And I thought, okay, that's the best. It was either that or they were going to terminate parental rights, right? They would take that no custody, but the parental rights. So no custody, full custody goes to Kathy, who's been trying to destroy my life, doesn't care. They don't care about all the UAs Michelle failed. They keep trying. They don't care that you're going to have access. Remember, Kathy keeps giving you back to Michelle a high on methamphetamines. And then there was another time where she got pulled over too or something. And they got re-involved for a while. I mean, it was just insanity. I can't believe I got involved with somebody like this. All my friends are going to be like, you loser. But you know what? I love you, honey. No, I do not love that girl. It was, your mother, ever. Okay? And I tried. And I wanted you to know the truth. And I know based on, I've seen you a couple of times, it's similar to my dad. There's so many emotions involved and you've been conditioned. And I was conditioned and I've tried. And my dad got frustrated and he's dealing with his wife. It was near impossible. Leslie always hated me. That's his wife. He can only do so much if she hates my guts. He tried, but he's still got to live his life. And so it's a lot of factors. So it's limited. What I don't know you at all. Other than I know you're nice, you're skinny, and you're pretty. And I'm sure you're a lot smarter than, with all that stuff going on, it's no wonder you had those problems in school. God, for God's sake, all that stuff going on. How are you supposed to study? But they wouldn't let me near you, honey. But I loved you, and don't ever think that I didn't try. And I got those UAs, and I'll find a way for you to have those. And I've got the pictures of some pictures when we were there. And we used to go to Chuck E. Cheese for a while with Grandma. I got a couple of those. We'd go and play video games. You loved doing that. And we'd get pizza. We did that a few times. And Grandma did it for a little while. And I don't know why she, other than John, demanded it. And he was starting to not come around and get all mad. Why? It's my daughter. Like he's entitled to you or something. It was just weird. And Grandma's in it saying, well, what do? I don't want to get it. I don't want him to leave. I can't afford this. I've always dreamed of this A-frame. But I ain't dying without you knowing and me telling you. Think about it. No wonder I literally had to go like I got a stack of UAs, and it was tough. It was tricky because you had to go up into the state hospital area up there, and sometimes they weren't there. You had to wait, and it's like almost like they tried to get you to leave. They'd be hiding in the back and locking the door, and I mean it was a brutal 6 months. And Tom would drive me up there it was unbelievable. They wouldn't give you copies to the UAs, and I'd sit there and demand it. I mean, there was just so many things that went on. And then after all that, they wouldn't even look at me, like even consider giving me some part custody. Like I could see, like if you initially had a dirty UA or something, you're the dad. I mean, your grandma Kathy had some rocks or special something in her pockets. She had some magic. She knew somebody in that county more than just being women, because I know women control that child protection and all that, and they hate men, most of them, unless They do. Especially guys like me with that toxic masculinity, right? But you passing the UAs, going to all the parenting, and finally that's all they were willing to do, or it was nothing. It was going to be nothing, and we had a freaking lawyer. But of course he wasn't fighting for anything more because grandma had that plan the whole time, I think. And I got pissed off at that guy. That's all you're gonna get me is Kathy gets to basically make anything up. There's nothing in writing, so I couldn't call anybody. I'd have to try to get her back into court, and you wonder why I wouldn't want to. You wouldn't wonder why I wouldn't want to pay child support like my dad didn't want. You really wouldn't. It's not that if you had come to me, and I would give you money, but I know who would want it after all that. Who the hell would want to get? I'd rather jump in the river instead of give her one dime after what she did to me. And then she kept giving you back to Michelle while she's living with a drug dealer because she got sick of you because you're like your daddy in some ways, I'm sure. And it was horrible. And finally, so Grandma pretended to try for a while, and we drove up to Wisconsin a couple times to Grantsburg, and it was like she knew what was coming. She made a couple times, and it's crazy because it was only every other weekend. Like he was upset, like it's not even it's my daughter. It's like a liberal ploy, part of their communist manifesto of something to redistribute or re-educate or something. Because why you feel entitled? It should be like, well, I should be bringing John around, not him. And he would get mad and act like a little kid. And you wonder why he carried that knife around all the time, huh? Yeah, because he kept acting like you were his daughter. And I'm like, and then later on, Doug kissed you in front of me, and I almost smashed his face in. I did. I thought, you don't even, I couldn't believe it. And I said, hey, look. And Grandma went up there, but John is starting to act like a little 2-year-old, and he's taking off on the weekends, going somewhere, not talking to Grandma. Probably like now, moving her shit around because she's a weirdo, and making her life tough. So we're starting to fight, and she's uncomfortable now, and she's like, "Think." So we tried. Grandma tried a little bit, I think, and we went to this was supposed to be my daughter. I fought for 6 fucking months, not him. I passed every goddamn UA and went to all the parenting classes, didn't miss anything. And somehow he should fucking be around my daughter? Or I shouldn't even have a chance to be a normal parent? Didn't even get a chance, and yeah, that hurts, and it messes you up. Not because I didn't, to say, because I love you, and I still do. But it's like, it only lasted a short time. We went up and stayed at a hotel up there in Grantsburg once. And it didn't take much, and Grandma just did it just like she does now. Ain't talked to her for 3. She didn't try that hard to keep us together. It was more important for her to be able to sit home and smoke them cigarettes and drink them coffee while you guys run around and he has you. It's fucked up. It's sick. And if I didn't, I tried one time, and if you ever wonder why he's carrying that knife around, okay? But I didn't want to go to prison, and I said, hey. And then when I saw that guy do that, it's like, I can't take anymore. How does he think he's gonna do that? Like, I fought all that, and you got the balls to come and. I don't care if you've been hanging out and seeing her on the weekends. You're the goddamn neighbor guy. What are you even within? Who the fuck are you? And then you kiss my daughter on my fucking lips. On her fucking lips. In fucking front of me. I almost killed you. And I thought, that's it. I don't want to go to prison. And that was the last time I pretty much seen you. And I said, I don't know what's going on, but it's sick. And I did everything I could. And they've been telling you this shit, and they got you in love with John. And I fought for you. And I tried with Grandma, and she tried kinda. But John made it clear that if that was going to continue and he was not going to be involved, he was going to leave or something. Something was not going to be good for Mom, Grandma. That was obvious. And then that guy kissed you. And I mean, what else has gone on, honey? And if they're going to start writing this shit about me, then let's get real. Because what I might have did one thing wrong in my entire life. And if you think I'm going to jump in a goddamn 6-foot hole for you or bend over and grab my ankles at this point, no. And I've never heard a voice in my entire life. God does not talk to me audibly. I'm not a threat to myself or others. I don't feel like hurting anybody. But talking about this has really pissed me off again. But I'm glad I did it. Because somewhere, somehow, hopefully one day, honey, you'll know your daddy really, really loved you and really, really tried. And I still love you. And if there's anything but it's different with you. Like, yeah, you might have a couple other out there, and if I could help them, sure, I'll try, maybe, if you think we can. But if you want me, if you need to talk to me, I don't know how I'll ever do it without crying. But if you think I can help you be a better person, but I don't know how you, with how much you've been around John and whatever else is going on, who the fuck knows? Only God knows. You don't do that. You don't kiss another guy's man and just like, you remember that thing that Dave said to, like, that's a death wish. This isn't like, hey, we're all at. If there's anything that you think I can do, I don't have much money right now. But you're over 18, and I don't know if you have a whatever you got a boyfriend. I don't know. Do you? I hope I'm not a grandpa. But if you think I can help you, or you want to hear my voice, or you want to ask me, if you want to ask me a question, or you want to say something to me, I'll try to talk to you. I don't think whatever. I don't care what they say. I'll try. But if I actually ever saw you, I don't know if I could ever stop crying. I don't know what I could do for you. But if you think I'll try, if you ever want to talk, and I know from my experience with my dad, I got so mad at him so many times. I changed my name because of the frustration between his wife and me and that. But if you're doing that, I would imagine you don't, because of all that they've said to you. You just were raised not to. I'm guessing. I don't mean to be rude, but how could you care? Or I seen you once out in the truck, and you didn't seem like you really even wanted to talk to me or be around me at all, and it really hurt. And I tried a couple times additionally, and I would imagine with all those people trying to keep you away from me, and who knows what they said, and now Michelle trying to say I ruined her credit, make me vomit. But I promise you, if you want to talk to your dad, I'll talk to you. I don't know what I could do for you to make help. If I'm trying to be a better person too, I struggle, and you guessed it. I still like naked ladies, and I hope to get one with a dress that bounces off the floor, and I maybe get her to play with them sticks a little bit, 'cause that'd be pretty cool. And if we can go fishing, hey. But if I can help, if you want to ever talk for whatever reason, you want to ask me a question, want to say hi, you can. I can't imagine you'll ever do that, because I know how tough it is with my dad. Like, I don't even want it's. I can't believe that we could ever even have a relationship, really, because he can't even be honest about what happened last time, and he's got the balls to sit and ask me if I can be normal. I'm like, yeah, whatever, dude. I ain't playing the bullshit no more. I'm not saying I didn't do a bunch of bullshit, because I did. But that's what happened with your mom. And John didn't deserve. I don't know what the hell went on with y'all. I know it's really fucking weird to have another guy, a fucking stranger. That's fucking weird. And boy, yeah, I don't care if what kind of bullshit, sick shit they're running in this old 150-year-old town. What they're gonna do to me, but that's the truth. And when I saw that, dude, I had to decide whether I was gonna go to prison or not. hmm And John just rubbed it in my face. So he acted so fucking snotty. And he helped me a little bit only because he knew he had you, and my mom was telling him that you gotta help him with school, obviously, because all he did is fucking play me here again. And then he had the balls to giggle at me and go, "Oh, I'm going fishing," and then I'm doing my derivatives. And then he's gonna fucking go fishing with John or Tom. He's a fucking tutti frutti liberal from hell. And I don't know what the fuck he did with you. And he's an asshole. And now he's moving my fucking mom's shit around. And I don't ever want to fucking see him either. And that fucking puke on Doug fucking Harper. Neither of them. I don't care if they're the last fucking guys on the planet that'll give me fucking soup. I'd rather fucking die. If you think I'm fucking talking to some guy that's got the goddamn balls to kiss my daughter after all that in front of my fucking face, you're lucky. And you're fucking crazy, not me, for doing that. If you think you can just do that in front of another guy's fucking daughter, there's some real sick shit going on in this world, and I don't know what the fuck it is, but that's the truth. And I pretty much ain't got another fucking word to say to anybody ever again, so don't ask me no fucking questions about nothing. I ain't answering shit. And I don't give a fuck who you are, and I'm pissed, and I want my daughter to know that someday, and I'm gonna figure out a way to let you look at those UA slabs. And Dusty can go fuck himself and get away from me too. Get away from my daughter and me and my house and anywhere around here. He's a fucking goat. Yeah, I don't know. And that was very emotional. But I'm glad I got to tell you I really, really loved you. And I still love you. And I don't know. It's on you. And if you ever need me, or if you think I can help, or you want to just hear your daddy's voice or something, I'll try to always be there. But I don't want nothing to do with none of them motherfuckers, any of them. Ever. So make sure they're far away. If you're ever talking to me, or you ever around me, please. Please do that. And I can't imagine you'll ever, because of the way they conditioned you. You just probably don't love me. And I don't blame you. Like, my love with my father is very limited. But I had a lot more interaction. He was around till I was 2. And I went out and visited him quite a bit. And I'm still fucking pissed at him. And so I can imagine you're angry as hell at me. But at least you can know I tried. Whatever fucking lies they're telling you, whatever the fuck John did to you, or that fucking cocksucker across the way, weirdo. Like, what is this world come to that you think you goddamn liberal fucking tutti frutti think you can do that? And you fuckers are gonna write this shit about me? And you're gonna hire a fucking lawyer that won't even fucking tell me that's bow and arrows? You can all go fuck yourself. In Jesus' name. Because you're all slandering, assassinating me character, lying about me for so fucking long. You boiled that frog to the point where they probably almost fucking murdered me. And they may still. But you know what? I repent right now, publicly, and admit that I'm frustrated. I'm hurt. This was very emotional. I'll go ahead and I'm wrong for swearing. And I ask Jesus Christ to forgive me. And I pray for my enemies. And I asked to just, I cover the blood of Jesus over this, that this is just one that had to be done no matter what. Because now I don't care what they do to me. I don't care what happens because I got to tell my daughter that. Or at least I got to tell somebody. Hopefully somewhere. This is at least on a database in the NSA or fucking somewhere. You know, they say the NSA is so sick, full of sickos like Secret Doctor and all them pukes, that it's too big to fail. They're such weirdos, they'd have to shut the whole damn thing down. So, remember, hey boys, hey, you think that's a weapon? And you're gonna kiss my daughter in front of me? It's the corruption is sick. It wouldn't nothing would surprise me anymore. And I don't mean to be, if you don't, I shouldn't probably even call you that. I just wanted you to know, Madalyn. I'll call you that. But it was awfully cold a couple times. Like, you didn't even have any love. Like, you didn't want to be around me, whether it was for whatever reason. But if you're not around your father, and there's no love, and you got those people all around you, and then you got John conditioning you, and you love him or whatever, and who the hell knows what Doug thinks? Who does he? Holy shit! I don't blame you. And then all that shit you went through, and then you struggle, and then you got that stomach problem. I do too. I mean, it's no wonder you got messed up, and I don't know. I really, Grandma's told me nothing. You could be a mom. I don't even know. But I know you're really pretty, and you got Grandma's skinny figure. You one of them snack bar gears. Okay? No matter what anybody tells you, and you're smart, and it's no wonder that you had a little few problems. And don't ever let anybody abuse you or be mean for that, because it wasn't your fault. You had a lot going on. I tried everything I could. My hands were tied. And please remember that if you ever, and pray for me. I just had to, you know what I mean? It was that, or I was going to get in a fight with somebody. And you didn't seem to be interested in being around me, so I didn't feel like I had anything to fight for. I mean, I didn't want to go to jail. I mean, if you would have been like, hey, Daddy, I'd like to see you or something, or you had shown some emotion, somebody probably would have got hurt. But you didn't, so I thought the best thing to do for you and me was to just pretty much stop even trying. Because I couldn't fight. I couldn't beat whatever kind of rocks Kathy had in her pocket and Michelle, and they still tried to blame me. And when I heard Michelle tell me I destroyed her credit, she said to Melissa one time, I said, I gotta tell this, and I wanted to save it to the end because now, I didn't make a whole lot of myself, and I'm still trying. And I don't know what you do. They wouldn't tell me. They didn't even give me pictures. Nothing. I mean, I feel like Grandma played games nonstop. And John's a fucking weirdo. That's an asshole. That's all there is to it. And his boyfriend across the way too. I don't want him in my life after the way he treated me, and it was more important. I don't know. So he wasn't gonna do anything for me. That's why he threw me to the dogs with the accounting after he had me convinced after 3 times he was actually gonna help me, and then he'd blame me and giggle at me, go fishing, and all this bullshit, just trying to play. And they're still playing games. Tom going over there. And I promise that any behavior that I did, no, not after all that. So whatever they do, let them do it. I don't care. I got to say this, and I might never even open my mouth ever again to nobody, so don't come around asking me nothing. I pretty much said what I need to say. I'm going to get back reading the Bible and doing this here. And I guess we'll let the cards go where they go. You know, Grandma finally asked me to come over yesterday, and I can't just start jumping up. I want to see Grandma, but not there, not with that guy. She's in, and I don't want to start jumping up and down. So, not gonna hurt anybody or others. I'm moving on, and like I said, you can figure out how to get a hold of me if you want. I love you. I always did. So, yeah, I don't know what else I would say. I hope you're safe, and I hope you're happy. And if that's the way you're happy with those people or whoever you want in your life, fine. If you ever need me or want me in your life, I'll try. Okay? So that's about it. Okay? And I'm sorry for the language that I use, but I want people to know the gravity, that how serious it feels. And I'm not saying I haven't done anything and people might not be mad at me, but there's nothing more important like that when you try so hard. I don't think I deserved all that, but it seems to be a consistent thing, doesn't it? Where I seem to have these types of things, and like I said, I'm not the only guy that likes naked ladies, so. And I'm in the Bible now. I've always been in the Bible. Off and on, I tried. So if I'm the weirdo, then we're in big trouble. This world, Jesus has got to be coming back pretty quick. So I apologize for the language, and I know it's wrong. And if you ever call me, I wouldn't ever swear at you or use that language again. So I don't know if you'll even ever see this, but if you did, okay? Okay. I think I'm gonna turn this off now and go stay off here for a while because I can't really think of anything that's really, really important. And okay. I'll just send it with a prayer though. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. In Jesus Christ's almighty name, almighty precious name, amen.